All right, here we are, double checking alignment. I have not touched anything except put the indicator back in. And there is the throat section. Back out to the mouth of the chamber. And we are perfect. Perfectly aligned here. I think I have some crap in the bore, that's why it's a little bit erratic, but repeating at the same spot. A couple dashes under the zero there. And then obviously right on zero there. Like I said, the important thing is this thing is repeating. The needle is falling into the same location each time. You get the idea. So we're always checking these things. Every important step of the way, we're checking stuff, so. No adjustments needed here. We can proceed to start doing the chamber work. First thing I'll do is use a drill bit that's slightly smaller than the reamer. Just make sure that's the right drill bit. So I'll measure the reamer right around the shoulder area here, like the kind of the smallest taper, and then measure the drill bit and make sure we're undersized. And yes, this is the appropriate drill bit for the job for this particular reamer. So just go in there and drill the chamber just so we have contact on the pilot. So I want most of that material cleared out, but leave enough there for the pilot of the reamer to be able to engage the bore before it starts cutting. You know, so like that. The pilot is in the bore there, but none of the flutes of the reamer are actually contacting yet. So that's perfect. That's the depth I'm looking for there. All right, switched out to a boring bar. Now we're going to clean up that drill hole, true it up, essentially, very carefully, so that we get rid of that sloppy, messy drill chatter and actually smooth out and true up the pre-drilled chamber walls. So we're going with a high RPM, a shallow depth of cut, and a slow feed rate to give us a very nice finish and a true, smooth surface in order for that chambering reamer to begin life cutting. And some nice chips there. Now we're going to reverse the feed and feed out for a finishing pass. There we go. Now we got a real nice smooth machined surface there for the reamer to begin cutting. Now one thing we should do here is obviously check, make sure that surface is actually true. There we go. Okay. Something was a little loose there. Oh. All right, anyway, we're spinning. True enough. Again, I'm just looking for that needle to be like way out. A tiny bit like that's fine, that's normal. You know, on a machine surface. Unless it's surface ground or something like that, you're gonna have a little bit of tool mark. You know, so as that cutter's coming in, it's leaving tiny little grooves no matter how slow you're going or how many cleanup passes you take. You know, you put that under a microscope, it's gonna look like a surface of a record. Not that rough, obviously, but it's gonna have grooves, period. There's no getting around that. So that's all that is that needle's just kind of skipping over. And what is it, 2/10 maybe? Just means that the probe here is stationary while those little rings, microscopic rings, have been cut under power, under travel. So they're gonna leave a little bit. You gotta realize that. So anyway, that's all trued up as far as in as I can get it for now. So we'll check this stuff every step of the way. But from now on out, since the reamer is going to be guided by the bore, by the pilot, if there's any fluctuation there, it's going to translate to the body of the chamber. So that's why we got to check quite often. So anyway, this is prepared and ready for chambering. And for this job, we're going to use our Gatan semi-rigid, semi-floating piloted, or reamer holder. Not piloted, but the reamer is piloted. Let's get this set up so we're entering the chamber straight. Looks like I got it. Right there is where it's going to start cutting. So I will film the first few passes here. We'll check, run out, and then I'm going to cut it off because you don't need to see this whole process. And my battery's probably going to die here soon. And I hate doing this, tripping over my camera tripod. So sorry, you're going to have to get the heck out of the way, but I will show you the first few passes here. Very important that you oil the reamer and the chamber as you do these procedures. Now I'm feeling here for chatter, listening, feeling, using my senses to detect if anything is going awry, especially right here in the beginning. You don't want anything going out of whack here. But got a good chip load there. There's no weird noises. No vibrations that I can detect here. And so we're getting a bit of a chip load there, so I'm going to stop my feed and pull out. And there we've cleaned up quite a bit here in the first section. Okay. So that'll be enough to check things with. Got about a 1/8 inch of machined surface there. There we go. And we got Got no detectable chatter or run out. So that's the machine section. See if we can get up into the non-machine section. Yeah, that's fine. Completely acceptable. Again, we're just looking for that needle to be swinging. That tiny bit of deflection there will be corrected for here as the reamer, once the reamer engages full contact. But we'll show that later. Okay, so for now, I'm going to go ahead and do the majority of this work, and we'll be back to check headspace and things like that. So check some surfaces, run out, and all that good stuff. So we'll be back. All right, we are about 3/4 of the way in. About 3/4 of the way into the chamber. Now I've got my 10th indicator in place here again. And now we're measuring as far in as we can go, which is pretty much right there at the transition of the rifling. I'm not totally into the rifling at this point. It's just right there at that transition. But as you can see there, we are running perfect. There's no fluctuation in the high and low of the grooves and the lands of the rifling. And then as we back out, so right there is going to be the smoother portion, like in the shoulder area, and it's going to go down dramatically. And same thing, we're making sure that needle's not drastically swinging. So now we're getting down on lower portions of that shoulder, a tenth or so of deviation there. It's nothing to be worried about. It's all going to be polished out. And I cleaned this out as best I could, but there's still microscopic things affecting this. I mean, you got to understand this is a 10th indicator here. So just measuring the little schmutz, as I say, like the oil or the little microscopic chip dust that's still in there, but again, there's the shoulder, and let's see if we can get it up all the way up into that kind of, so there it's starting to transition. That's about as far as I can go until I bottom out the front of that holder there, but yeah, we're looking good. Let's back it out all the way. So now I'm hovering over. I'm not actually touching anything. We just got to turn this down so we make contact. And again, zero run out here, just a little bit of deviation is all we're seeing. And I'm not worried about that. That is real world normal stuff. We could lie and glue this indicator. Oops, let's make sure we're focused here. But well, yeah, like I was saying, there's a few channels out there. I feel like they're being a little dishonest. You're never going to get absolute zero where that needle is dead still. Chuck spinning, machining. It's just, this is as perfect as it's going to get, guys. Don't be deceived by dishonest people out there trying to show you, oh, look at that, it's zero run out. You're going to have, and there's no run out, it's just deviation. That's all that is. So the whole length of the chamber, all I'm trying to show here is we have no run out from all the way here to the mouth where it starts. Like I said, let's show you the needle's got swing both ways. So we'll try to put it on zero there, and then come in, keep spinning here, and there's a taper there, so that's why that needle's going up, but we're not swinging as showing any run out here, no detectable run out whatsoever. Now we're entering the shoulder part of the case, or the chamber. And that's where the most cutting force is occurring, so that's why you'll have a little more deviation there than in the walls of the chamber. But all the way up, and now we're getting up into the mouth. And right there's almost the transition. And we're starting to get into the transition to the rifling. So this chamber is running perfect. It's as good as it gets. It's as good as it gets, and don't let people fool you here. We are all about honesty and being real with you guys. So, like I said, we are super happy with this. So what I'm going to do here is attempt to show how we're measuring headspace on this barrel. This is how I get around not having a DRO and how I refer to my ARO, meaning analog. So right there, that little puppy there shows me, at least shows me travel. And it gives me a full inch range of travel on any given surface, and a lot of times I'll touch off and have the carriage. You can use it for cross slide travel and all kinds of handy stuff around the shop. So it is has been repeating. I've done this hundreds and hundreds of times, and every time I measure like this, I do it tons of times, like 10 times. You know, I'm not exaggerating. I do it over and over until I get a repeatable result, and I'm confident that everything is tracking correctly and properly. So this job, my customer is buying one action from us, a coup de grace made by American Rifle Company, and he's having me spin up 2 barrels, identical barrels. So I want these features to be exactly the same, dead on, so that when one barrel gets shot out and worn out, he can switch to the other one and nothing changes, essentially, at least in the dimensions of the barrel. So what we got here is our headspace gauge in there, and it's being held by a dead center, just enough pressure to keep it from moving, because if you've ever tried measuring off of a headspace gauge, you'll know it doesn't fill the chamber completely. It's got a lot of wiggle. So it's a nightmare to try to get a repeatable reading and an accurate reading off of measuring from the face of that gauge to over here on the shoulder, where this particular headspace is going to fall. Now, so like I said, we've got it held rigidly now. So this is just forward pressure into the chamber, and it's a center, so it's not cattywampus cocked off one way or the other. We've got a dial test indicator here, zeroed out. So 0 on the dial test indicator is going to equal 0 here on my travel indicator here, and it's this very rigid magnet, Mighty Mag, holding this on here, and I've got a level, so we are perfectly level, so we're not skewing our readings off. And if that was reading at an angle, it wouldn't be exactly right. So I've done everything to take into account any error. It's a 1/1000th indicator. Is it the most accurate thing in the world? Is it as accurate as a DRO, proper DRO? No, but I think in this case, when we're measuring to 1/1000th and our tolerance is about 2 to 4, this is good enough. And it's better than, again, measuring with a depth micrometer from a wiggly gauge to a shoulder, because I mean, you just have a heck of a time getting anything repeatable. So that's what we're going on here. That's what we're doing here. So now we've zeroed out, so we have a datum, a point at the face of this headspace gauge. And the drawing calls out for 822 thousandths to our shoulder. Now, my customer is a competitor PRS, and I'm going to give him a slightly tighter chamber, and we're talking about 0.02 of an inch. So the called out headspace for the coup de grace is 822 thousandths from here to the shoulder. I'm going to give him 824. That's going to provide just a little bit of a closer tolerance. So the case doesn't have as much room to expand in there and move. So just a match grade kind of chamber, if you will. So we're still dropping free on the gauge. The bolt handle's dropping free with no resistance whatsoever. And then a piece of cellophane tape is giving just a tiny bit of resistance, but it still closes. And then a piece of masking tape is a hard stop. So we're still very, very safe within specifications for this. And after doing this second barrel now, it's evident to me that American Rifle Company has accounted for quite a bit of tolerance. That I think they're going on the high side rather than tight side, because just to make sure everything works and no one runs into any troubles. So we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to give them 0.02 extra from here. So let's just go ahead and do that. So we're going to come off of the gauge carefully, and we're going to move the indicator away so that we can come back and touch off on the shoulder. Now watch the travel indicator. So we're traveling down, and then we should have about, we're coming to the 800 mark. Right there. Now we're going to come in and zero our DTI again at the exact same point. And now we're showing, we get it zeroed. There we go, 824. Oops. All right, let's do that again. Something moved. So zero this. And zero that. Trying to look around my tripods again. And get it exactly on zero. Okay, close enough. Come off. Exactly on zero. 820. 4.5-ish. Let's do this again. So this is how I do it. I just keep doing it till it repeats. Super hard to get to that exact 0 point. Right there, 0 there. Come off. Okay. So 24, 824.5. Let's try it again. There we go. 0, 0 on the travel indicator. Coming up. Touch off to 0. 824.5-ish. So anyway, that's repeating. So we just repeated it about 4 times. 824, 824.5. Again, this is for my particular customer. If this was for an unknown or just a one-off barrel, I would go right to 822. Because of course, you don't know, especially if they're using factory ammunition, You want a little more, a little deeper headspace, just so they don't have any trouble with any sort of ammo they're trying to use. So 0 there. I'm probably burning a 0.5 thousandths off of this DTI, or the travel indicator down there, the cheaper Chinese made one, but I trust this Brown and Sharp's repeating. And same thing, 824.5. Now see, you're looking at it a little bit of an angle here. You're not looking at it dead on. I can't get the dang camera down here exactly 0 with the lens. So keep that in mind. Right, so there's that. And then the gauge itself. So here's another way you would measure headspace, would be the protrusion from the breech face. So 0 there, and we're still 0 down here. Come off and then measure from the breech face. Right about there. It should be 62 to 63. Yep, a little bit over 63. Okay, so we have a little bit of a healthy stick out. Again, but that is just because I know what this customer is going to be doing and what he's going to be trying to achieve. Okay, so just wanted to show that. One more time, we'll check this again, make sure it repeats. But this sure beats trying to measure with the depth micrometer. F, and then touch there. 0, 63. 63 and about a half. Okay, so both these barrels are exactly the same as far as the critical dimension, which is the headspace from the gauge to the torque shoulder here. This length here has a tolerance of 4 thousandths plus or minus, so the length of the tenon doesn't matter. So really, from here to there, this measuring this way for headspace really isn't that critical. It's from here to here, and they're dead on. 824 and a half, 824, somewhere in there. So we're gonna, like I said, I'm gonna burn a 0.5 thousandths just for slop here, but we are repeating at least exactly every single time. So that's what we got going on here. So next we will check run out on all these surfaces as well, in terms of alignment and concentricity and things like that. All right, now we'll show some concentricity tests and alignment. So we are jammed all the way up in there. As deep as we can get in there. Yeah, I'm about to touch on the actual DTI, so let's not push our luck here. But there's up and down, so the needle's got some room both ways. We're not bottomed out. So that's as deep as we can go. We're pretty much at the almost to the transition of the rifling. We're going to back out. So this is in the mouth of the case, or the straight portion of the neck. The neck is what I'm trying to say. And we'll back out, and we'll start sloping down into the shoulder. So going down, shoulder area. And keep in mind, this is where the most stress happens, because the reamer is forcing laterally into there. So there's just a tiny bit of deflection. We're not seeing run out here, this is deflection. We're coming down into the body of the case, so we'll come down to the bottom of the shoulder, and then the body of the case, so we've got to increase this a little bit of deflection, but no run out. This is a 1/10,000ths indicator, so to have 1/10,000ths of deflection is okay in my book. And again, we're just being honest here. So there's still, I have not polished this yet. I have not cleaned it that well. I just literally took the headspace gauge out from our previous setup, and we're just measuring run out now. So So all the way out, so now they're very mouth of that thing. Again, less than 1/10,000th of deflection. Okay, we'll call it 1/10,000th. Again, there's other channels that are going to try to show some trickery here with absolutely no run out. If you have a spinning part under power of a lathe, there is going to be some deflection, I guarantee you. You are being lied to. So this is full honesty here. Coming up into that taper, so we're going to increase. No run out here, just deflection. And then up under the shoulder, shoulder, up into the neck. The neck's running even less deflection. We got a very nice surface finish there. Still got some travel on the needle. Throughout the entire neck portion, it's dead straight, no deflection whatsoever there. And coming down, shoulder, body of the case. Right there. So this is a completely honest, truthful, no tricks here. It doesn't get any better than that, folks. And this is for real, there's no trickery going on here. Notice in those videos where the needle doesn't move at all, they're not actually sweeping the entire chamber like this. You're gonna see edits, you're gonna see, so this is all one shot here. We're not editing anything. And I'm being completely honest with you. It's an actual physical trait of machining a part. Unless you're surface grinding, you're not going to get dead nuts, zero deflection or deviation. So I'm going to polish this, and we may see even less, but we'll see. All right, so let's come back in. One more little check here. I don't know if you can even see this one, but touch off on the shoulder here. Torque shoulder. And you can't see that. Can I get the, oops. Okay, there you can kind of see the bottom of the needle. Let's see, I'll just try to. Let's see if we can rise up a little bit here. Yeah. And sorry. So anyway, there's both, you can see both needles at least. So in terms of flatness, we are dead. I mean, a couple tenths. So we're measuring both the torque shoulder surface and the body, or the chamber at least, as far in as I can get them. Okay, so there you go. Precision machining here at Accurate Rifles and Restorations. And there it is, guys, finished chamber. Polished up all nice like. Get you up in there. Let's see if I can do this here. Yep. Polished up, got the bling going on. There's the nice shiny steel. Right, so I'm gonna get this out, torque it on, and perform a test fire. Measure the fired case, make sure we're within spec there. And one last shot after polishing. I know I'm kicking a dead horse here, guys, but I just want to drive that home. We are less than 1/10 of a thousandth of an inch deviation on this surface of the chamber, coming up to the shoulder, all the way up into the transition neck, and that's as far in as I can get it. But we are near zero deviation there in the neck. Just the faintest flicker coming down the beginning of the shoulder, midpoint, kind of coming down the shoulder area, into the body. The body's got just a little deviation coming back down the taper, right down. Less than a 10,000th of an inch, guys. That's what you're going to get from us here at Accurate Rifles and Restorations. So that's the very mouth right there, very entrance, the mouth of the chamber there. So yeah, there you go.